Hey, this is MGTV and I'm Michelle Greenman, Women's Wellness Coach, and I'm doing a video from a hotel room because I'm traveling. But the 6th of October is Hug a Vegetarian Day, and the 7th of October is World Vegetarian Day. So I wanted to create this video in case you were becoming a vegetarian, transitioning, or thinking about transitioning, and you wanted more information on how to do that. So myself, I actually became a vegetarian one day. I literally threw out all the meat in our house, stopped eating meat. I think I had a fish fillet once and took a couple bites and threw the rest away within that first year, but since then I haven't eaten meat and I haven't missed eating meat, and I can't really imagine eating meat now anymore, which is a really big change for me because before I was literally eating meat every single day, multiple times a day, at pretty much every meal. And my favorite thing to eat was salmon steak, which I used to fry myself, and my favorite thing that I could not cook was oxtail, which if you are not familiar with that is actually the tail of an ox, but if you are familiar with Caribbean food, you know that Jamaica is one of their most favorite foods. So I ate meat and I liked it. Lots of different types, but I don't anymore. And every time I travel somewhere and I talk about health and wellness, I am inevitably asked this question on how to transition to become a vegetarian. So the truth is there's a couple of different ways to do it, which I'll explain in this video, but the first most important thing is to decide why you are becoming a vegetarian. Why is it important to you? And that's really going to help you determine how you're going to do it. Now, the reason why the why is important is because oftentimes when people decide to do something and they don't really have a strong reason why, or they're not sure, they give up or they don't wait long enough to make that change, or there's a lot of misinformation out there and they choose something that actually works against what they're planning. So the first step is to know why. Now, I stopped eating meat for health, and I felt that it was a reasonable request based on the Bible, really, that I didn't want to kill animals for food, that I didn't need to, and that I could actually get my nutrition from fruits, vegetables, grains, and nuts and seeds. So in this step, I kind of just decided one day that I wasn't going to eat it, but I did eat what people know as meat analogues or fake meat. And the truth is, fake meat usually is made out of a lot of soy products, which is sometimes, if not usually, GMO, and a lot of seasoning that can be MSG or MSG-like ingredients. They usually have a lot of sodium in it and a lot of chemicals that preserve it. And while it was something that I used to transition, is not the best thing to stay on for the longest period of time. It really is about transitioning, is about learning how to cook or learning how to eat foods and find a variety. So for most people, it's actually easier to continue to eat meat and to actually start to reduce the amount of times a week that you eat meat and replace those times eating different foods and be getting more comfortable cooking different types of foods, finding different varieties for things that you haven't eaten before. Now, that takes some time, but it is something that you can realistically do. The other thing that you can start to do is to be really aware of if you have an emotional craving for meat, or if you have a medical condition that is really dependent on you eating a certain way. And the reason that is because you really want to address those issues while you're transitioning. It's really difficult, and I have seen it happen where people decide to become vegetarians, but the type of medical conditions that they have really reduce their ability to digest grains. And so if they go from eating meat and grains, and they don't start to introduce foods that they can eat that they really do enjoy, they can end up being what I would call a grainitarian, are these people who just eat massive amounts of grains and they don't eat enough fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and they end up having this imbalance, which it can actually cause weight gain. So knowing why, being able to be aware of what other conditions can be impacting what you're eating, and actually transitioning into eating better is very important when it comes to going from being a meat eater to a vegetarian. But you can get all the things that you need from eating vegetarian, and it actually is oftentimes like the healthiest decision that people can make, because your body has to process the meat, and it's really getting the nutrients from meat secondhand. So, for example, I always ask this question of cows become big and strong, and if they're actually fed properly, from eating grass. And they can eat tons and tons and tons of grass, but that's where they get their calcium, and that's where they get their iron, and that's where they're getting the nutrients that we find in their meat. And so, or milk, right? And so by eating these foods secondhand, you're actually having your body to work harder to process this meat and deal with the extra fats or chemicals or hormones that are actually in this meat, versus being able to have really clean, healthy sources to find these foods in plant-based. But if you do change to a plant-based eating, you can oftentimes feel like you're not missing anything at all. Again, the reasons that you will is if you have an emotional craving or a medical condition. But when you work through those two things, you can start to eat and actually feel lighter, happier, more clear of mind. I know when I became a vegetarian, I understood more than I could in years in my studies, just in 1 week of not eating meat. So it can do amazing things for your mind to free up energy and to really give you that clarity that you are looking for your life. But like I said, you want to take step by step. It's one of the reasons that I created this program, Love Your Body, on how to reach and maintain a healthy weight and boost your confidence, is to really teach that there are several different types of ways of eating, but it doesn't have to be difficult. It can be really simple and straightforward. So I encourage you, if you have a question about transitioning to become a vegetarian, or if you're not ready to become a vegetarian but you want to know how to eat healthier, leave that comment below. Feel free to let me know how things are going and get my help and support. That's why I'm here. I actually do answer these messages myself. And if you are a vegetarian or you want to give me a virtual hug, put that down below as well and let me know that y'all are out there. Alright, have a fantastic week. Feel free to share this video with a friend who you think might be interested. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.